everybody, this is Del K. Burton, and this is the Shallow Institute, the real spiel. I've been away for a while. I had to bury my dad, and thank you to everybody who just, sent condolences out and everything, and I really appreciate that. New chapters, new legacies, and Peter John, rest in peace. We're still looking towards the Middle East, the so-called Middle East. Also, before I go even into that, a good friend of mine, Lloyd, called him Mouse. I went to his funeral yesterday. Brother was he was buried like the mayor of Toronto. Great funeral. First Seventh-day Adventist Church. Fantastic job on his funeral, and Justice Donald McLeod and all of the basketball
In 200 meters, use the right lane to take the Ontario 401 West ramp.
And the church family that showed up for him. Fantastic. I think I'm going to put that on mute. So my back. Yeah, so what we're looking at, what I've been seeing, of course, we're talking about the ceasefire. Very interesting take on it myself. I think I've been watching a lot of Piers Morgan, and to his credit, and of course for the benefit of his ratings, as he's seen, he's put a lot of pro-Palestinian voices to debate him. And one gentleman, he's an entertainer, actually probably the most prolific voice. I didn't really get his name. He was, I saw it last night. He was an entertainer. He said some really powerful things. One of the hardest things, I guess, Piers tries to pin people down and says, what are your thoughts on what took place on October 7th? He starts most of his interviews there. He tries to make all of his Palestinian and pro-Palestinian hosts repudiate what took place on October 7th. But this brother kind of held his ground, and it's very interesting. And Pierce said to him, "You're the only pro-Palestinian guy here who basically tried to pretend like October 7th didn't exist." And I felt that. I felt that, not necessarily specifically for the Palestinian-Israel situation, and for the people that we obviously see are being held hostage, and they're releasing children, they're releasing grandmothers and women. These people clearly something took place on October 7th, right? It's because they're releasing people. But what I call the unbalanced exchange is that they're also releasing Palestinians. Israel's ceasefire was based on a prisoner exchange. It's interesting to me as I look at it and I analyze it. Israel's releasing 150 prisoners to Hamas releasing 50 prisoners. Thank you very much, Ms. Ann. And I heard from Sister Yvonne that you sent condolences, so thank you very much. It wasn't Andrew Tate. It was a pro-Palestinian brother. It wasn't Andrew Tate. I saw the Andrew Tate interview too. That was a few days back. Pro-Palestinian brother. He just did it. And it was a very short interview. He owned Pierce. He really did own Pierce. But he said some key things that I'm going to bring up. But before I go there, like I said, I just see an imbalance where clearly the military edge is on the side of the West, and Israel is as much part of the West as anyone else, much on the side of Israel and their allies, America and Britain and whoever else is helping them. But they're releasing 150 prisoners. Hamas is 50. Little 3-year-old girls coming home, and very compromised people are coming home. Seemingly, people that are being released on the Israeli side are mostly men, guys who've been held, of course, for crimes, of course, according to Israel. Again, you can't, like, crimes like throwing rocks to doing attempted murder, whatever, apparently is what they're saying. But the sheer numbers of it just makes it curious why Israel would release, not have a man for a man or a person for a person scenario. Thank you very much, Ms. Ann. So, as I was listening to the brother, he said, this is what he said, this is what caught my attention yesterday. This is what got my ears up yesterday. He said that of world refugees, that the Palestinian is the largest percentage of world refugees. There are 1 in 3 refugees in the world are Palestinian. This is what he said. That's a staggering stat. But I felt, as Pierce said, that he is the one person who kind of pretended like October 7th never took place or never existed. I feel like that stat in itself says the same thing in respect to what is taking place in Congo right now, what is still taking place in the West, what has taken place historically, what is taking place here in Canada. We got African refugees who nobody's taking in. They're sleeping on the street. They came from Toronto. They went to the East End and to Whitby and Ajax. No one can tell me. No one can make up a statistic and tell me that any other culture anywhere demonstrate the highest refugee rate for 2 specific reasons, maybe more. Number one, they do not let Africans claim refugee status. So they will let a Palestinian claim refugee status, right? But they will not let Africans claim refugee status for the most part. It's very difficult for an African person to claim refugee status. And you know, Somalia, Ethiopians did it, Eritrea, potentially. I don't know the last time Nigeria was able to claim it. Ghana was able to claim it. So that's number one. That and then they try to categorize the African as an economic refugee. We all know that that's not necessarily true. Also, the second thing is to call a Palestinian the world leader in refugee status is to take away the fact that the Palestinian can still point to his home and say, that's my nation. I've got a government. I know where I come from. It has disrespected the plight of the Middle Passage and the colonized African who is now so acclimatized to his culture, his new language, his new name, his new passport, to the point where he says, I am a Canadian, I am an American, I am a French citizen, I'm from France, I'm from Spain, I'm from Brazil. Listen, it's ridiculous to actually make that statement, considering that we are, for the most part, the diaspora, we are refugees. We are refugees who never received refugee status, never received refugee compensation, never received reparation for it, and have never really received the fullness of true citizenship or statesmanship. Never have we really gained that advantage, and it's almost incredible when you think about it. You know, and some have and some haven't. The West Indies, those people have, you know, emancipated some of them. Haiti overthrew revolution, and now they run their countries. They are the runners of their own places. but the African American never took over his colony. Never decided that this belongs to us now. You held us here long enough. It's ours. And still to this day is not in control of the place that enslaved them to this moment. Post-Obama, not in charge. Post-King, post-X, post-Huey Newton, post-everything that the black man and woman have accomplished in America. America is still your open-air prison. You can't go out there swinging a Palestinian flag. You can't go out there swinging a Palestinian flag talking about Palestine as an open-air prison. What's America? What's America? Oh, you can't say that about America. You know how hard it is for black people to get up and to move, to go other places from America? Do you know what it is to be socially tethered? You know what that means? A tether is like you have a leash that allows you to go so far but no further. And there's no more socially tethered humans in the world than African Americans. There's no more socially tethered humans. The Jamaican, the African in Africa, the Nigerian, the Ghanaian, the Ivory Coast, you give them a chance to leave Africa, to leave Jamaica, and go live somewhere else, go live in the West. They're gone, They go to England, they'll go anywhere, they'll get out of, they're desperately trying to get off the island, get into the West. Some of them. Trinidad, not as much. We like our country. But some of the others are running to, as fast as they can, fast as you can get them there, they're trying to get there. The African American is not trying to leave America for the most part. Feels that it's his home. They don't venture very far. Most historically African Americans are not venturing very far from America. They're not individuals that travel the world for the most part. The women have started to now. You've got the passport bros have started to now. But for the most part, African American, especially men, we're not traveling. They not even have passports. How many preachers I knew talking about, I'm an international preacher. How are you an international preacher? You don't even have a passport. You never even left America. Oh, I preach all over. Yeah, you preach all over America. Right? And then they all want to go to Africa. Everybody wants to go to Africa. You're jumping around. You want to go preach in Africa because you think you have a colonizer's mentality of Africa, and you get there and you realize the church in Africa is bigger than your church. The African pastor's doing better than you. We are tethered to Western culture in information, in desire to leave, right? And even sophistication. You can't mingle, you can't fly somewhere and settle in. You can't go to France and learn French, figure out the language. Most of you can't do that. Can't go to Brazil and settle in. Everywhere you go, you want it to be African American. You want to eat the same foods. We had that happen many times. Churches that we bring up, we're feeding you Caribbean food. Like, no, we don't really eat that. When we go down to your spot, we're eating chitlins, we're eating grits. We don't know nothing about grits. I don't know what grits are. I was putting peaches on grits. I was like, this thing needs some sugar on it. Give me some brown sugar. What is this? Man, mix this thing up, make this thing sweet. He's putting peaches on grits. You're making us eat the same food y'all eat. Okay? Which is fine. We're going to eat it. I don't mind. I'm like, just put some peaches on it. I don't care. But we're tethered to our North American black people who are mostly American. Canadian Africans, not so much, because most of us have come from somewhere else. We're not, only this generation has now become born in, for the most part. There's more born blacks, born in Canada. Then there were blacks born outside of Canada and came here at this time now. And they're travelers. They're traveling. They're assimilated. Many of them are very acclimatized to other nationalities in Canada. Canada is more of a mosaic than a melting pot. And so how do you pick up and start talking about the Palestinian situation when your situation is very, very similar? And we have forgotten that we are very similar to a scenario where you were living in an apartheid state not very long ago. Not very long ago. The civil rights movement just happened, to be honest with you. Not very long ago, you were living in the circumstances where it was clear you did not have those rights. Muhammad Ali's lifetime, he didn't want to go to Vietnam for various reasons. The lifetime of X, the lifetime of King, right? That South has been the South for a very long time, well into the 20th century. Got movies like Burning Mississippi and all these kind of things that show you in the 20th century what was taking place. It's not something we're talking about from a very, very long time ago. Stuff in the 20th century was happening. So this concept of an apartheid Gaza, open air prison, all this kind of, that should be something that you're talking about for America. Period. And it's hypocritical for an American Caucasian to look at Gaza and say that, because we created the same thing here all the way up to the 20th century. They are in the 21st century. So I find it quite interesting, to be honest with you. I find it quite interesting. And this is why you have so many black people trying to resonate with the Palestinian, but you really can't. I'll tell you for two reasons. The Palestinian has a place that they know they're from. They know where they're from. Most of y'all don't know where you're from. And secondly, the Palestinian didn't help you in the civil rights movement. The Palestinian didn't really do a lot for you in the civil rights movement. Palestinian cooperation between African Americans doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. They have a government. They get support. They have voices in the UN. They were invisible during the civil rights movement. They were. Jewish relations between black people in America is much better than any relations with the Palestinian, and that's a fact. Can't fight that. As much issues as I have with certain Zionists in the Jewish community, it cannot be said that the Palestinian partnerships between African Americans outperforms that of Jewish partnerships. It can't be said. It would be a lie. It would be a lie. So it's really, you have a tricky scenario to look at. This brother also brought up the ANC, Mandela, and he said something very interesting. He said when Mandela and the ANC, who was living under the apartheid, revolted against apartheid South Africa, many times sometimes children got killed, sometimes women got killed, sometimes the elderly got killed, but they were doing so in revolution. And so he's trying to, of course, acquaint the Palestinian cause with a revolutionary cause. And I found that to be so very convenient, as well as brilliant, because he brought it up and said, hey, in any struggle for rights, sometimes innocents are going to get killed, is basically what he's trying to say. Innocents are going to get killed. Which also, for me, should make us realize really the genius of King. I've criticized King a lot. I really do. I have criticized King a lot. I've criticized anything that looked too pacifist when people are trying to beat your head in, because that's just not the kind of person I am. But the nuance of the civil rights movement of our fathers, because many of us were too young for it, the nuance of it was this: that as much as they were revolutionaries, they understood the power of peace. Can I say that again? As much as they were revolutionaries, they understood the power of peace. I believe right now, in the presence of this ceasefire, even Israel will realize the power of peace. First of all, I don't know how they were still hiding all them hostages. Israel was blowing those people to smithereens. Where the heck were you hiding those people? Where the heck? I mean, how deep does Hamas go with them tunnels? Because how could you the place is finished. Jeez. They got these hostages sitting around there like they were just getting fat. Like they were just watching, like them little kids was watching cartoons, eating cereal, eating kosher snacks. Because, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I believe Israel's going to realize that there's power to peace right now. You flexed your muscles. Sheesh. They flexed their muscles a lot. They showed those guys that, listen, you do that stuff again, we'll beat your head in. And you better return all these doggone hostages. We don't care. We'll send every one of you people home. And this is something I think that I think is commendable, even in the unbalance. And I would do it too. I'll give you 100 people from my one child. I don't care. I'll give you 100. You want 100? You want 150 to 50? I'll take the 50. I'm not even arguing with you. Give me the 50. Give me the 50. It's the 50 less that I got to come get. So I don't mind that. It's kind of a bad deal. Sounds like a bad deal, don't it? I'm giving you 150 killers, potentially, males. You're giving me 50 innocents, women, children, grandmothers. I'm still taking that deal. I'm not mad with Netanyahu for taking that deal. Bring them babies home. And what it does show the international community is that they've got hostages. They took little kids hostages. You took 3-year-old children hostages. You took a 3-year-old child hostages, and then you're holding up your children when Israel bombs you and saying, look at the atrocity taking place after you done took a 3-year-old kid hostage. You done took little kids hostage. I'm sorry, me. You send me to war, okay? And I'm rushing in there, trained to kill everybody. I'm stepping over the babies. I'm not looking to take a 2-3-year-old child hostage. You're taking 3-year-old children hostage. You said the meanest military guy in the world in there. He's not shooting kids. He's not shooting little babies. A little 3-year-old girl, they took that little girl hostage. So yeah, and then people are up in arms at all these poor Palestinian babies that are being blown up as collateral damage. Man, this is crazy, bro. Release these people's children. There's no children that should be held hostage. If I was Israel, I'd say, I'm not listening. I don't want to hear nothing. Release every child. Release every child. Release every elderly person. Release every woman. Just release all of that. We'll give you what you want. I don't care what you want. But release every single child. That's you got to draw the line somewhere. Am I wrong about that? It's kind of an unfair balance. But while the world, and again, I'm just going to finish it, the unfair balance. While the world is still talking about the Middle East, Congo is still suffering, still catching hell. Still catching hell. This prime minister of ours here, I don't know how many Congolese he is dedicated to bring home. I hope he wants to bring some Congolese over here. I really hope he decides to bring Congolese over here, because I tell you what, and I don't care how racist it sounds, you bring over 100,000, 50,000 Congolese, you don't got to worry about vetting most of them to see who the terrorists are. You bringing over 50,000 Palestinians, you have to definitely vet them. definitely got to vet them, because you're bringing a Palestinian individual to an area where there's still going to be a plethora of Jewish people. You bring in Congolese over here. Congolese ain't coming here. They don't have a natural enemy in Canada. They don't have. They're not going to come and put a Congolese person in the midst of any community here, and they're going to say, "Well, those people were our enemy. Those are the people that blew up our children." You're not going to have that issue here. So I hope Trudeau is as anxious, and I hope Biden is as anxious, and I hope the world is as anxious to bring Congolese citizens, bilingual. Most Congolese are speaking at least 4 languages. They're speaking English, they're speaking French, they're speaking a local language, 2 local languages, if not something else too. Right? It's very, very, and for Canada, French is our second language. So France and Canada, Belgium, all these countries that have French as they should have no problem bringing those guys over. Will they? No, they won't. They won't, because it's an unfair balance. Because African refugees don't carry the same value as other refugees in the eyes of the West. Period. The Ukrainian was like, you bring in Ukrainian refugees over here, they were the gold standard of refugees. All right, no disrespect to anybody Ukrainian. I love Ukrainian people. Y'all got pretty people. Y'all some beautiful women coming over here. Them Ukrainian girls came over here. Brothers were like, "Woof, Lord, I'm going Ukrainian." Listen, I got nothing against those people, but they treated them like they were the gold standard of refugees. Ukrainians were coming over here getting gold cards, jobs immediately. Pretty Ukrainian girls were walking in to bars all over Toronto, being hired on the spot. Bottle service girls, hostesses, on the spot, they were being hired. Those Congolese girls come over here, they're gonna vet the crap out of them. They're gonna make them come for 5 different interviews, no matter how many languages they speak. They probably more educated. Shit, they're probably more educated. So I hope that the world has the same attitude, because the ceasefire on us has not happened, right? And I'm very happy that the ceasefire has taken place, that Palestinians can find their way to shelter, find their way to getting aid. I'm very happy. You tell me that I'm living in an open prison, an open air prison, and I have the capacity now to move out of there and move. I'm moving, man. I'm moving. I'm leaving. I don't want to be in an open air prison. So you can't have it both ways. It can't be an open air prison and the place that you want to call your home. You guys got to pick one. Yeah, because I don't want an open air prison. I'm gonna live anywhere. I can look at dirt and call any piece of dirt mine. Give me a 50-foot lot anywhere in the doggone world and say it's mine. I'm taking it. I'll put a flag on it and declare it to be the official land of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Put a roof over my head and play soca music. Huh. So don't call it an open air prison and you still want to stay in there. Israel is a very dangerous. Listen, let's put it this way. Israel's a very dangerous neighbor to have if you're a Palestinian. So why you want to be there? Yes, it's your land, it's your ancestral land. Guess what? There's a whole lot of us living off of our ancestral land right now. Don't give me that stupid story. I don't want to hear it. Oh, the Palestinians, they're ancestral to the land. Yeah? Why don't you tell that South African Boer who came over there pretending he is Africanus, tell him that. Why don't you tell that to us, the Nigerians who've been displaced, and now we're claiming Trinidad. Tell that to us, that we are indigenous to our land. Tell that to us. So if the Palestinian has to get up and go find some place to live because Israel is a very dangerous neighbor, clearly, and Hamas is not a very safe individual to have as your governing body, and you need to replace and move yourself for the sake of your children, then go right ahead and do it. I don't want to hear the conversation. The Aboriginal in Canada right now has been displaced. Well, he's getting benefits. He's got some benefits. Listen, people are displaced. Period. People are displaced all the time. I think life is much more important. I think having the capacity to live and to argue and to advocate for your rights to return to your homeland, if that be the scenario, is much more important. I saw one guy smoking a cigarette, sleeping on the top of all of the rubble, saying, "Oh, I ain't leaving. You're gonna have to bury me here. I'm leaving." Well, the Bible told me something. It said it's better to be a living dog than a dead lion. And listen, you want to sit up there and smoke your cigarette on that rubble, my friend? Okay, can't stop you. It's a free country. It's a free world. You can do what you want. But I don't want to really hear any stories. I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of empathy for that, considering that nobody has empathy for black migration, black displacement. Nobody had empathy for that. Nobody had empathy when, in the 20th century, they were making sure when they vaccinated immigrants, black immigrants, they left a very disgusting smallpox mark on our shoulder. You know what? You ever take a look at that? Take a look at that. How come domestic individuals who are also vaccinated for smallpox, no mark? Vaccinated from smallpox, no mark. But all you foreigners who were vaccinated from smallpox, they made sure they left a mark on you. They wanted to make sure they branded you to show, hey, these are the guys who came in. These guys weren't from here. Right. None of them are supposed to be there. They were black tribes over 400 years ago, forced out. And all that's probably true. And I'm a world citizen. I want multiple passports, personally. I want a Chinese passport. I want an American passport. I want a Canadian passport. I have an African passport. I want an Australian passport. I want a passport everywhere, because you know what? I don't even believe in borders. I don't believe in no borders. I don't believe in borders. I don't believe the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof and all that dwell therein. I believe I should be able to walk and go anywhere. I don't believe in borders whatsoever. I don't believe that we should have borders, period. I believe any place that anybody wants to decide he wants to go and live, no one should stop him. If I want to come work in New Zealand, I get a job, I'm qualified, I want to buy a house, I'm gonna pay New Zealand taxes. Nobody should tell me, well, you're not really from here, bro. Like that is the last tier of racism. That's the last tier. Nationalism, okay? I think I'm here. Where am I supposed to be? I'm at my spot. Nationalism is the last tier of racism. To tell me, a human being, a qualified human being, that I can't stay here because my ancestors weren't from here is an oxymoronic, racist thing to say. It's crazy to tell me that. It's crazy to tell me that. Oh, you can't stay here. Your ancestors ain't come from here, so you got to leave. You got to get paperwork. You got to what? What are you trying to tell me? Are you crazy? These Vikings who went all over the world taking and plundering, and now I want to go to one of their countries and they're telling me, well, you're not from here. The British Empire went all over the world stealing and taking over and digging up stuff. The Portuguese that went giving everybody smallpox, making people sick. Now you tell me when I want to come over there, oh, you can't stay here much more than 6 months. The American, came over there full of cholera. People had to teach you how to not die. Dragging black people all over the world. No black man anywhere should be told he cannot say. I'm an indigenous man of the world. I'm indigenous to the planet Earth. In Australia, they look like me. In Asia, they look like me. In North America, they look like me. You can't tell me I'm not from somewhere. You can't tell me I'm not. And if I'm not from there, I've been there before you realize. Before you could leave where you were, I visited there. 400 years before Columbus was even a thought, Mali Empire was sailing all around the place. Africans were sailing all over the place. Before you could leave your rock, we were there, chilling, hanging out, visiting you. Hey, how you doing? You can't tell me I'm not indigenous to the world. And you also can't tell me that displacing some people for their own safety, clearly, is a travesty. And let's get more evil with this thought. The biggest gun controls the ground. White people are not from North America. White people are not from North America. The only reason they're here is because they had the biggest cannon. The British Empire had a cannon that can shoot farther than anybody else. And the British and the French, they came out here, and the Spanish came out here and started to fight each other for land that didn't belong to them. This place is a colonized place. And yes, that Ashkenazi, with the help of Britain and NATO, came over there and colonized that area. But guess who did it also? The Ottoman Turks did it too. Right? Before them doing it was the Romans. Before them were the Greeks. Before them were the Persians. Before them were the Babylonians. Before them were the Assyrians. Everybody's done it. We should stop fighting over rocks. Stop fighting over dirt. Okay? I don't want to hear it's your homeland. It's dirt. You're fighting over dirt. You can transplant culture and take it anywhere. Chinese are the best people to show that. Every doggone place in the world has a Chinatown. You got Chinese people living everywhere who don't know any other language but Chinese and exist, live out their lives not learning any other language. They just know Chinese. They live in Chinatown, they know Chinese, they cook Chinese food, they live amongst Chinese people, and they don't learn any other language. And you got Chinatown everywhere. Doggone got Chinatown on the move. Everywhere. Don't tell me you cannot pick up your culture and make culture anywhere. You can take a Jamaican out of Jamaica, but you can't take the Jamaica out of the Jamaican out of the Jamaican. I don't know how I said it too fast, but you know what I mean. You can't take Jamaica out of the Jamaican. Kids never been to Jamaica got more patois than man living in Jamaica. I don't want to hear it. It's dishonest. It's unbalanced. It's a huge imbalance. And as a black man, I sit here and I listen to people and I listen to the talk, and I'm like, do these people not hear themselves? Huh? They not hear themselves? The Arab slave trade. I'm ending with that one. The Arab slave trade. When they came into Africa, the Arab slave trade was worse. It was worse. And so when I listen to these international communities and they're screaming this and they're screaming that, our children are dying, our children are this, our children are getting killed, I think of my own community going through the same thing, right under the noses of the media. Crazy war in Congo and domestic scenarios happening right here in North America. So whatever you do for them, do it for us times 10. Period. After all this is said and done, this is what we know. We know America is standing with Israel. I wish America would stand with the African American the way they were standing with Israel. I wish America would put as much money into making the African American safe, independent, to have self-governance, to be in a position to fight off their enemies. Oh, do that for us. Israel has the right and the responsibility to protect themselves from their enemies. So do I. Put us in a position to do that. Put us in a position to have our own systems and communities right there in America. Give black people in America. Listen to me now. I'm done. I'm finished. I gotta go get some for Pure Later Curry. Give black people in America a plot of land as big as Israel. Shoot, just give us the state of Texas and leave us alone. How about that? Just give us the state of Texas, leave us alone. Right? If we got problems, Biden, send some army guys in there to fight for us. Give us the same intelligence. Give us the same capacity to self-govern and to self-actualize ourselves. Everybody from Blackistan, that's what I named it, Blackistan, not Texas no more. It's called Blackistan because you stole Texas from the Mexicans. You stole it from them, so that's not really America. That's really Mexico. You know that. Remember the Alamo? Texas ain't really America. Texas is Mexico. Okay, so give us that, right? Let us protect ourselves, defend ourselves, feed ourselves, do all that. Don't tamper with it. Be our number one ally, the same way you're number one ally all the way over there in the Middle East, because you want to keep some folk over there looking over the back of Putin, right? And you want some oil. Well, I want some of that Texas oil too. That's why I asked for Texas. Give us Texas and leave us alone. And tell us we got the right to defend ourselves. You ain't gonna do that, are you? Then don't ask me to cry for nobody's children. And the Palestinian, right now, you've seen the outcry that the world has done for you. You've seen that the media is now listening to your voices. This is what I say. It should never be said again that the Palestinian is a better partner to black people than the Jew, because you fail in that department. The Jewish community has been supporting black people since the 60s. I'll give them the 60s, since the Civil Rights Movement. They have receipts. You don't have any. Let it not be said that anymore. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want us to cry for your situation, you better come on. You better come on now. You better start fighting a bipartisan war to say, let's support these blacks in their own independence in America. That's all I got to say. This is Del K. Breton. This is The Real Spiel. An unfair exchange. That's what I call it. We don't want Georgia. I want that Texas oil. I want that Texas oil. We don't want Georgia. They can keep Georgia. They messed up Georgia already. God bless you all. I'll talk to you soon. Rest in peace, Peter John. Bye.